Hello, dear viewers and students. Welcome to this heart rate calculation class. Today, we will very briefly discuss about the calculation of heart rate. Uh, Basically, the first things to be observed in an ECG is rate, rhythm, and axis. Today, we will discuss about heart rate only. Heart rate is easily calculated by various rules or applying by some formulas. During its calculation, one should have to be very observant towards the speed of ECG paper, how fast ECG paper is moving. There are basically two speeds. The standard speed is 25 per second, while the other speed may be 50 per second. So you have to first and foremost see the speed of the ECG paper, then only we can calculate further for the heart rate. We all know that heart rate is basically heartbeats per minute, and in electrographic means we can say that heart rate is the number of cardiac cycles that occur during 60 seconds continuous ECG recording. That is the number of QRS complexes per 60 seconds are the heart rate. Then the normal heart rate in adult, we all know that it is 60 to 100 beats, but in pediatric age group it can be more than 100. Less than 60 we say that it is bradycardia, while more than 100 in adults we say it is tachycardia. Usually we can determine two types of heart rate, arterial rate and ventricular rate. We usually uh, mm, discuss about ventricular rate. The PP interval will determine arterial, but RR interval will give idea about the ventricular heart rate or the heart rate. Basically, there are two types of rules. One is the rule of 300 or 1500. It applies when the rhythm of the heart is regular, and if a rhythm is not regular, it is irregular, then we apply this rule of 10 or rule of even 6, we can say. Then in a regular rhythm, we calculate the RR interval in means of big square. Big square are equivalent to 5 That 5 small squares makes big square. The RR interval, that is the gap between two R waves in terms of big square. Then we will divide 300 by this RR interval, and it will give us heart rate. Or if there are some confusion that there are three big squares and two small squares, and you are not able to convert that two small squares into 0.4, then we can even calculate the heart rate by dividing 1500 by RR interval in small squares. We will calculate the small squares, total small squares between two R waves, and then we will divide 1500 by these number of small squares, and it will give us to heart rate. But these two formulas are applicable only when heart rate is regular, that rhythm is regular, each RR interval are equally distant, that is each RR interval are equal. While if RR interval is not equal, somewhere it is only two large square, somewhere it is four large square, then it is a irregular rhythm. In this scenario, we can't calculate exact heart rate, but we can take some mean by seeing the QRS complex in 50 large squares. 50 large squares means the if ECG speed paper speed is 25 per second, that is 5 per second, 5 large squares per second, then 50 means the ECG will travel 50 large square in 10 seconds. So 10 seconds we will calculate, or we will count the QRS complexes in 10 seconds, and we can multiply this by 6. If 10 seconds there are 8 big, that these QRS complexes, then the heart rate will be 8 into 6, that in 60 seconds it will be 48 if 8 comes out in 10 seconds. This is how we calculate heart rate in irregular rhythm. Now we will see some examples, but before seeing examples, the simple trick to remember is, if in regular rhythm, if RR interval comes out to be 10 to 15 mm, that is 10 to 15 small squares, the heart rate will be 100 to 150. If RR interval is 15 to 20 small squares, heart rate will be 75 to 100. And if RR interval is 20 to 25 small squares, then heart rate will be 60 to 75. That we can remember. This is how the we can see the heart rate. If only one large square is there, then 300 divided by 1 is 300, then the heart rate will be 300. Here RR interval is one large square. Here it is 2, then it comes out to be 300 divided by 2, 150. Here it is 3 RR interval, then it comes out to be 100. 300 divided by 3. In 4 it will be 75. In 5 it will be 60. In 6 if 6 large square are there, then it will be 50. We have to measure it from the tip of the R wave. I have wrongly marked it in between, but it should be from tip of the one R wave to the other. And if more than 6, if 7, it will be 43. If 8, it will be 38. And if 9, it will be 33. Likewise, the heart rate will be calculated. Let's see some examples. Here we can see that when we are going to measure the heart rate or calculate the heart rate by large squares, then try to pick the R wave which is just upon the uh, dark line. Likewise, this here it is not on the dark line but nearby, and then determine the RR interval between two R waves. Here almost the rhythm is regular, then we can calculate large squares 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Then heart rate comes out to be 300 divided by 5. It will be 60. And we can see that almost in each RR interval is around same. This one, this one, this one. Then heart rate comes out to be 60. What if RR interval is not equal, like in this example, where here there are around 4.5 big squares. Here it is only 3 big squares. Here it is around 5 or 6 big squares. Here heart rate comes out to be 100. Here it comes out to be 75, and here it comes out to be 50. Then it is a irregular rhythm. Then to calculate this, we have to see the rhythm strip. We have to calculate count the QRS complexes in around 50. If you are not having 50 these big squares in that rhythm strip, uh, 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 look in this example, there are only around 30. There are around 30 big squares. Then we can count the QRS complexes in these 30 big square. 30 big square will be traveled in 6 seconds. Then in 6 seconds, if there are some in this example, see there are 8 QRS complexes in 6 seconds. Then in 60 seconds, it will be 8 multiplied by 10. The heart rate will come out to be 80. Here if we see RR by calculating RR interval, here RR interval is around 3.4. The heart rate will come out to be around maybe 90 to 95. And somewhere here it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It here it comes to be 50. Somewhere it is 90. Somewhere it is 50. Somewhere it is 100. Even yeah, here it is 100. But by calculating all and taking mean, then it is around 80. This is how we calculate heart rate in irregular strip. Likewise, here there are 30 big squares. That is 6, the count of 6 seconds. Then we have to multiply these QRS complexes by 10. We have to count them because ECG people will travel 30 large squares in 6 seconds. Then in 60 seconds, we will multiply by 10. Then here it is around 14. There are 14 QRS complexes in 6 seconds. Then in 60 seconds, there will be 140. The heart rate will be 140. And we can see there are, in this example, around heart rate maybe 2 to 20 in this RR interval, and somewhere heart rate may be only 100. So by counting more and more large gas, we can take mean heart rate. This is how we calculate heart rate in regular rhythm as well as irregular rhythm. Thank you. Please give your feedback. Thanks a lot.